especially with young people, because y'all end up being so much smarter than anybody else. I love for these to be conversations. So I'm going to talk a little bit, and then I'd love for you to ask questions about things you're interested in or things you'd like to know, or you know, whatever it is, just so we can have a conversation. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
So I am, as you heard, I am the first female mayor of Jacksonville. Now what are you shaking your head about over there, young man? I'm teasing you. I'm teasing you. You know, but the truth is, that's probably what I would have done 5 years ago had you told me that I would be doing this. I love this city very much. I am somebody who has been in the city, and my family has for 5 generations. So my great grandfather came here right after the Great Fire. You guys remember reading about the Great Fire in Jacksonville back in 1901? Basically, the whole city burned down. And after that, we had a whole big influx of people that came here from all over the world. And one of those people was my great-great-grandfather, who came over from Lebanon many years ago. Set up shop in Springfield, and our family was basically raised there until I was a little bit older. Had a store. Everybody had a store and lived over their store, basically is what happened. And then my family got into the restaurant business, and then eventually my cousin Tommy got into politics and became the mayor. I decided from a very young age that I wanted to be a journalist. From the time I was in 5th grade. What grades are we here?
6th grade.
So when I was a little younger than y'all, I decided I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a journalist. And that was, I mean, just was straight on that path the entire time of my growing up years. Took every opportunity I could to learn more about writing, to learn more about storytelling, to get involved in the newspaper for my school, all those things, and thought that I would absolutely go into newspaper journalism. That was my goal. I even was a junior writer for the Times-Union back then when I was in high school. And then when I was a senior in high school, the then anchor of Channel 4, which you're way too young to remember, but your parents would. Her name was Deborah Gianolis. She came and spoke to my class at Bishop Kenny. I went to Kenny. And I thought she was amazing. And just then women were starting to really come into broadcasting. So I said, you know what, maybe I'll try that. So I went to FSU, got a degree in communications, and immediately, as soon as I could, came back home and got a job in Jacksonville anchoring the evening news here on First Coast News for 25 years. And I figured that would be my life forever. That's all I had ever wanted to do, was to do that job at home, right? Well, about, I guess, 10 years into that journey, I was diagnosed with breast cancer for the first of 3 times, all while I was on television. And so my journey sort of shifted a little bit. I started looking through the eyes of different people who were going through the same health journey I was going through, but were having a difficult time making ends meet. Couldn't figure out how they were gonna put food on the table and also have their treatments. And so I started a foundation for underserved women with breast cancer, and a race that we just actually had last weekend. We were on our 17th year of that race, to raise money to help those families in need. And all throughout that time, when I was still on the air, I was covering politics. I got very involved in policy and healthcare policy while I was working with the foundation. Do you see how these worlds are sort of colliding here? And then I decided that the best way for me to really improve more lives than just with the foundation was to get into politics, because you can't really move policy for people. You can't change the lives of many people unless you can actually be in a position to do that. So that, I guess I ran for Congress back in 2020, largely on the idea that I would change healthcare or make healthcare better. Didn't win that race. But then was approached by a lot of people who said, you know, you could really make a bigger difference if you ran for mayor of your own city. And I love Jacksonville so much, and I thought, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. People here know me, they know my heart, they know my love for the city, they know what I believe in. And so I ran for mayor, and I was fortunate enough to win that office, and here I am today. So my reason for telling you that story is because you may be sitting here right now not really knowing what your future is going to look like, not even necessarily knowing what you may want to take as your first step. But the most important thing I would say, from my perspective of when I was your age, is start to try to figure out what you're passionate about. What really makes you excited? Because believe me when I tell you, when you have to go to work every single day to pay your bills, you want to be doing something that you're passionate about, not just something that you have to do, right? So I was very, very fortunate that with the focus that I put on all of the steps that I needed to take to become successful as a journalist, that I was able to do that. But I was also curious and open to whatever might come next. So when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I had a new passion, and that was for health and to make people's lives better who were going through the same difficulties that I was going through. Just incredibly grateful to have survived, wanted to use those talents to do something for other people in that arena. And then that focus led me to the next passion, which is this. So whatever you choose to do right out of the blocks in your life doesn't have to be what you end up doing forever. Your passions can change, your goals can change. And as long as you take those steps, those intentional steps toward whatever you want to achieve, and that's very process oriented, right? You have to be very focused, find out what those steps are, and take those steps toward what you want to do. Create the relationships that you need to create to get there, and then put everything you have into that. You can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. To me, leadership and being able to reach your goals is very much about a few things. Having vision, knowing what you want, but also being a very intentional listener to people. And that's another reason that I say it's so very, very important for me to have these as conversations instead of me just standing up here talking for 30 minutes, right? I think it's so important to listen to what other people want, need, are thinking, and their ideas, because sometimes you get your best ideas, in fact, always you get your best ideas from other people. So it's important to stay curious as to what might come next, and it's important to be open-minded and to listen. Listening is a skill that I learned very early on as a journalist, and I have always told that to every young reporter and now every young person who talks about wanting to go into either journalism or politics or anything, and that is that you have to become a very skilled listener. And if you can't do that, then not only are you not gonna learn everything you need to learn, but you're not gonna be very good at what you do. So that's really what brought me here. That's the path. And I'm so grateful to have the opportunity not only to live and breathe, I'm very grateful that God has left me on this planet. I didn't think after 3 times with breast cancer I was still gonna be here. But I've been here now 17 years cancer-free since my last diagnosis, which I'm incredibly grateful for. But I get to bring that lived experience into everything I do. So I get up every single day and I literally make myself a gratitude list of everything that happened to me the day before that I'm grateful for. And the thing that God always rewards me with after that is more things to be grateful for. Because it's amazing how when you focus on those things for which you're grateful, those things that God has brought into your life, it's amazing how much more you appreciate everything in your life. And I would say that's another key to success. Remain grateful for everything that's good. And sometimes it's hard to find those things in a day. Sometimes all you can be grateful for is, hey, I woke up, that's great. I woke up and the sun is shining and I get a new day to do something good with. But it's important to stay grateful too. So I'm gonna at this point say, I know it's gonna be hard because somebody's gotta ask the first question. But let's open it up and have a conversation for things that you wanna know or things that you're interested in. And we'll go from there, okay? Somebody's gotta be first. Who's gonna be that bold first person? Who's gonna ask the first question? Yes.
How hard was like your challenge? Was it hard to face or was it pretty simple?
Which, you mean the cancer? Or, you know, at the time it seemed very hard. But what happened to me was, at the very first time that it happened to me, I had this mentality of, I'm just gonna power through it and I'm gonna look back and I'm never gonna think about it again. And then 2 years later, I was diagnosed again. And I thought, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? By the third diagnosis, I truly did not think I was gonna survive. And it was probably the first time in my life that I ever totally gave up control and basically said, okay, Lord, I know I say I trust you, but I'm gonna have to really trust you here. So that's really what happened to me. I sort of gave it all over, and I just said, I wanna change my brain to not be fearful, because everybody that goes through cancer is always looking for the other shoe to drop all the time.
So good for God, let people down.
And that's right. And so I just continued to believe, that if I got up every day and at least lived every day to the fullest, that would be a remarkable life no matter how long that I was here. So to answer your question, at first it was very challenging, and today, honestly, I don't really think about it. It is something that informs my daily life because I continue to be very grateful to be here. But you brought up a good point. I think, and maybe you found this already to be true, sometimes it's the things that seem most challenging in your life, because we're all gonna face challenges, no matter what our goals are. You're gonna have failures, you're gonna have bad things that happen to you, that's just life. But if you can face those challenges and try to look at them through a lens of possibility and love, as opposed to a lens of fear, then you can do anything with that. And so I think if I hadn't gone through cancer 3 times, I don't think I'd be doing what I'm doing right now, because I don't know that I would have had the confidence to say, why not? I'm here. God has left me here for this day to do something good. I might have still been stuck in a bad place. So I'm really grateful for everything that I went through. And if you can start to try to look at your challenges that way, at least for me, that was really helpful. Yes, sir.